it start? I think it started. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Duration. Cool. Okay. Well, I was I told myself I was gonna start this video on Monday. I was gonna do a little bit every day, and I didn't. But it's fine. We're gonna do it now. I've actually started reading a new book. It's like the Let the Wild Pendulum Swing or something like that. And it's really good so far, and I'm really excited to keep reading it. But I really need to share what I learned so far about the book, so you can decide whether or not to read it. But I think you should, truthfully, it's really good. Anyways, we're gonna make some food first, because I'm hungry, but I'm lazy today. It's Wednesday. I don't have, like, any energy today. Mostly because, you can see it in my nose. Mostly because, I think I'm not meditating enough, truthfully. So, sounds so weird to me now. But I've been, like, getting back into, like, a normal schedule of, like, doing things and, like, waking up and just doing these habits and da-da-da. And I love that what I'm getting out of them is helping me, but the process is, like, excruciating in time. And I haven't really figured out why just yet, but I'm getting close. I feel like I'm getting close to understanding. Anyways, spicy chicken is on today. I really hate pre-made chicken that you fry up in the air fryer. I think that it's absolutely disgusting, and I always get a piece of meat that is literally rubber and tastes weird every time. But truth be told, this is the energy level I have for consuming food, which is actually better than where it was. You want to do that. And probably gonna cut up some yakima, tomato, and avocado. Anyways, so, and I have some quinoa, so I might even heat that up a little bit. I don't know, I've been eating a lot of quinoa recently, and I had, like, made this meal, and I, like, was finishing it up the other day, and it was, like, 2 bites left. And I was like, I really can't. So I might not with the quinoa, you know what I mean? Yeah, what I mean. I was, like, watching a thing the other day about, like, people talking about why they think that when we watch videos from when we were kids, like, in high school, we were like, why do we look older than the kids who are in high school now? And they were suggesting that it's because that we perceive those clothes with the people at the age they are now, since that's what they wear, since people never change what they wear, maybe? Which I thought was interesting, because I think that's very true. Like, I think it's very true that most people don't change their aesthetic, their looks. They don't, like, I don't know. Like, you know, you get your fashion in high school, and you kind of, like, chill with it for a long-ass time. Like, it's very rare that people change that. So, I just thought it was funny. I was like, can you imagine that, like, what we perceive as kids, what kids are wearing right now as childish, like, we're going to look back at those videos, and we're going to be like, oh, why do they look older, like, when we're older? I don't know. Yeah. That's a little too much for right now, but whatever. Let's cut up some of this yakima. Yakima. Not your ma. Yakima. Why did I say it like that? I'm not really sure. I'm sorry. I don't even know if you can hear me from over there. Probably can. Okay. this one might be not good. We'll find out in a second. And one tomato. And I'm gonna grab my Pepsi later. Pepsi. Dr. Pepper. I saw the P and said Pepsi, but I really want it now. I've been having problems with caffeine recently. I tend to go in and out of drinking and consuming a lot of caffeine. I think it's regular for most people to, like, hyper-consume caffeine and then, you know, take breaks or cut down on it and then come back to it, right? I don't think that's abnormal from, like, other things. But, like, I'm in my phase of consuming more and more caffeine, you know, like, going to my max, you know, like, ability. Right now I'm just, like, getting this over there, so that's why I'm being weird. Don't mind me. Anyways, what was I saying? ADHD. Cut up these vegetables on this fruit. Yes. Tomatoes and avocados are fruit. And that is the truth. Okay, anyways, what was I saying? I don't know what I was saying at all. The train has gone. I was gonna slam that, but I don't know. I've not been enjoying loud booming sounds recently. It's been very overwhelming. I'm gonna use this Sentoku knife. This fancy knife set. Fancy knife set. I don't know. Have you ever had yakima? I think my favorite thing about my life when it comes to food, there's not a lot of great things, but there's this one thing, okay? Is that because I didn't have a lot of flavor in my life at a young age, and I liked anime. That's all I could ever think about, especially like anime just makes great food, you know. So that's what I always dreamt about, was like, I wonder what the food's gonna taste like, and I just can't wait to have that kind of food. And I thought it was like an adult thing. Like, that's all I ever thought about. It's like, when I have money, I want to buy the best food, whatever, right? So anyways, because of that, the one thing that I've experienced a lot of is like a lot of different types of foods, because I'm addicted to eating. What's up? You gotta try Indian food that has a lot of, yeah, no, I trust me, I have. And there's some really bad, like, Indian American food here, like in the U.S. Like, I'm so sad. I feel so sad for anyone who's tried Indian food here in the U.S. because, like, I feel like it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. And for some reason, there's not an in-between. And I have not found not one restaurant that has been able to break that for me. And I am begging that there's a fusion Indian restaurant that is good, because I believe it. I just think people don't know, like, how to bring such flavors to palates of the U.S. citizens, and like what we're used to in like a manner that isn't. It's hard. I'm not gonna say that. It's not gonna say that it's not hard. There's a reason it's not here, right? And because of that, I feel like there's like a lack of interest of people, American people, white people, being interested in that food culture, which is terrible. Because I have tried some really great shit, and it makes me sad when I go to a place and I'm like, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be one of those places, and it's not, because then I think of all the good ones I had, and I was like, I want to go back, and I can't go back to that place because it's somewhere that I was visiting to in California or New York, or I don't know. Like, I just found a good place in Portland, and now I'm in Seattle, so here we are. And I have not gone out and ventured for Indian food yet. It just, like, I gotta get in the mood for it. I'm like, because I know I'm gonna be disappointed. Because I know I'm ignorant. I know I don't know how to find the good food. So I'm just hoping that the ratings are correct, and I'm hoping that people aren't misleading you when they tell me to go try certain places, which they are, Because to them it's good, but to me I'm like, where's the flavor? Like, I should be dying right now from, like, I know this specific spicy dish is supposed to be spicy, and it's not spicy to me. Like, I love Thai food, and I have a pretty good, like, heat tolerance, and the reason I like it a lot is because it's one of the only foods that actually gets me, like, drooling at the nose and shit. Like, it's one of the only ones that, like, type of food that they put enough, like, chilies and stuff in, or whatever type of chilies they use, or seasoning they use, that really gets me, like, my whole face is drained and everything. And, I always go to places where they don't put all the seasoning in, and then I'm like, well, I know the flavor's low. I can just tell, because all this really is like, really clean beef broth or pork broth or something, right? And that, not that that doesn't taste good, but like, I want the seasonings too. I want it to be plain. People think they see my face and they see my skin and they think you can't handle it, and I'm like, I think most of the time you're correct, but this one's weird. No, seriously, and then you just said white people can't handle the spice. I understand that. I get that I'm in a category where people are like, you cannot handle it, but I can handle it. When you give me a bowl without the seasonings in it, I can taste that, and it makes me sad. Because I get that you're doing it for all the other white people, but I didn't come here for that. No, seriously? Garlic naan? Whenever I go somewhere and, like, I'm like, what kind of naans do you have? And they're like, just naan. I'm like, this is not the place. This is not the place. Like, you at least make it in-house? Like, you're not gonna I've been literally handed, like, store-bought from Walmart, like, open the packaged out, like, naan. Not even heated up. Like, I watched them. And I'm like, if I wanted that, I would have gone to the store. Bought that and did that at home. I came here because I'm ignorant, and every time I've tried to make naan, it's turned out like absolute shit face. Naan is not easy to make. I bow down to those who can create naan. You are a god. I cannot. I can. Someday I'll learn. But right now, I cannot. And I wasn't willing to go through another failure. I wanted the real stuff. And then there's really white people where, like, salt and pepper, like, they're like, pepper spicy. They're like, don't add pepper. I don't like spice. And I'm like, I don't understand that. I am not somebody who can comprehend that. I don't. How are you surviving where you're not eating pepper and salt? Like, everything is just plain? I mean, that's great, right? Like, everything tastes amazing to you, but then, like, some things are always going to be, you're never going to be able to try all the stuffs. You're, like, stuck to just all the plain things. I don't know if I like that. No, I don't like that. I wouldn't want to be like that. I like being able to handle peppers and spices and stuff. That's one thing I'm very, very happy that I received as a person. Because, man, I would have missed out on so many foods. There's so many foods where, like, people, like, literally every time they're like, it's spicy. And I'm like, I know, that's why I want it. And it was so fucking good. It was so fucking, I'm drooling, like, I can feel saliva building up in my mouth right now from thinking about the spicy foods I've had in the past, or people, like, so many people are like, it's too spicy, and I'm like, you should keep doing that. White people need that shit because they be dumb. But, like, I know what I'm doing. Sometimes it's hard when I'm streaming because people text me, and then I'm sitting here, like, having feels about something completely different now. I'm fine. A little crazy, but I'm fine. What you saying, B? They took away your tasties. That's how we taste, man. We taste with our nose. Like, yeah, we need taste buds too, but like, you need this. This thing is real good. This thing is really, really good. Like, I didn't realize how good mine was until I got COVID, and then I did some stuff in my life, you know? And now I'm regretful. I'm extremely regretful for both scenarios. For both. They were both avoidable, and I did not avoid them. And I'm sad. For this, only for this one factor of not being able to smell everything as I used to. Yeah. Like, it means nice. You know what, though? I think, like, if they sincerely, like, I think it's something you gotta, like, work with, right? Like, you can't just, like, at the age of 40, never having much more than, like, salt and pepper, come into life and then be like, I'm just gonna, like, eat all this spice now. You're definitely gonna get ulcers. But if you're like, you know, I want to start eating spice, and so I'm gonna start stepping into it and eating some, like, the least spicy things that I think are spicy, and, like, working in that way, and slowly, not even, like, spicy spices, but even, like, aromatics, right? A lot of white people don't even use ginger and garlic daily, and you should have ginger and garlic in one of your meals. Like, that's just, right? And I'm not somebody who knows all that much about food. I'm still learning, and I'm doing it because no one taught me, not even my school. They lied to me about everything, and now you gotta, like, disagree with all of it and be like, okay, what's the truth? And experience it, and watch your body expand and deflate repetitively, and I wonder which thing I did affected me doing that this time. And then you gotta learn about how women's bodies work different from male bodies. Are you female or are you a male? Because, like, most medicine is based on male anatomies, and that makes sense because, right, like, that's the world we grew up in, and that's just how it was. So, like, there's more tests coming out, more things coming out for the female body too. But, like, the interesting thing that I'm waiting for is once they do more testing, right, a big thing, right, has been colonization as well, and so a lot of testing has been majority on just, like, white people, white males, and so I can't wait until everything's, like, more understood based on your genetics, and even if there's a difference, like, how much does, like, your skin color and, like, where you were born and, like, the genetics of where those started really affect you, like, differently compared, like, even just foods, or, like, is there a big difference, or are we more the same and, like, similar than, like, we ever thought? But we don't really know. We don't really have those answers. We only have assumptions and, like, racist bias. So I just can't wait for that information to be fact, you know? Why do you need Pepto? What are stints? I don't know what stints are. Okay. What am I doing in my life? Oh my god, I never started the chicken. I just put it in here. Oh, fuck. That's hilarious. You know what reminded me, though? It was the washer. I gotta switch over the laundry. Okay. What are we doing? We're on. Right. 8 minutes. I had my food by now if I had been paying attention. That's alright. That's okay. That's alright. That's okay. What am I doing anyway? I am getting it ready. I am getting it ready. I am getting it ready. I like my little song. That's cute. Yeah, that is funny. Since I freak your nose. Alright, well, I wish you luck on your nose getting better. I don't know what that's like. So sorry. But I'm sure it's not fun. Please be good. Please be delicious. Please be good. Please be delicious. Please be good. Please be delicious. Well. Look at me. Yeah, let me get a little guac. Get a little guac. I think we have some more in there, so I'll just make some guac. Make some guac. Make some. Bitch, I hear you. And I will get to you when I have a moment. When I have a moment. Just give me a moment, please. I have people I need to text back, you see. Interesting. Do I have lines still? I think I do. I think I do. Lines. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. Shiny shoe. It grew and grew until it's blue. What did you know? Our shadows grow so tall you'll know. In sunshine alone. I'm sick and forsaken of your heart. Don't know who is here to claim that heart. But if you ask me, I will say you can do it anyway. Toxic positivity, even if I don't believe. Because they say it works. Because they say it works. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, how are you? What's up? What's going on? Oh, I needed that salt and pepper on that. Floop. Oh, anyways. You know what I feel like? I feel like Dr. Scrooge. No. Dr. Seuss. Dr. Scrooge. Beep, beep, beep. That says flip me over, but I'm not going to because fuck you, bitch. You're too soft and I always fuck up the outside edge. Isn't that crunchy? And I like my crunchy. Don't you like crunchy chicken? Like, when you buy chicken, you want that, like, crunch kind of noise. Like, you want, like, the crispy, like, juicy. You don't want it to be hard, but you want it to be, like, sturdy. Like, you want, my mouth is, like, apparently. Smash. What's everyone's favorite thing to smash? I literally have like a, what is it called? Like one of those medicine like grinder things that people have, like the little mashers, right? Where like it's tiny. But, like, that's how I guard my temper. Not here. My other place. Yes! Okay. Next! What's next? I want the chicken to be done, but it still has 6 minutes. 6 minutos. You know what this calls for? A celebratory fudge pop. I always feel like a child when I'm on streaming, because you're kind of just like talking like all the time. Like that's what you gotta do, right? Like otherwise, like if you come upon a streamer and they're not talking, they're not saying anything, like you're like, well, why would I watch that? Like, there's nothing happening. You're not filling up my brain with nonsense, so I cannot think. Because that's why we like watching people, is because we like not thinking. But we feel like a child because I feel like as kids we used to do that so much more than we do adults. Like as adults, I think we do it more thinking inside now. Like we don't do much thinking on the outside. So it's like when you're a streamer, when you're a content creator, it's funny because like I wonder if other people feel like that. They feel like kids while they're streaming, or like feel young because you're talking out loud. All your thoughts are out loud. Everything you're doing is out loud, and maybe it just brings back that nostalgia. Unless you were a quiet kid, right? Then I don't think you would feel young. But I wonder if other people who were very talkative children, that are content creators or streamers, if they feel young when they're doing it like I do because of that reason. You know what we should have? There should be like a poll of like questions like people have. They're like, do other people feel like this? Do other people have these thoughts? And then like the rest of the world can come in and like vote on those thoughts, and then we can all decide like without, well, I guess like the problem is people are gonna use like AI and like probably vote multiple times even though they're not real or whatever. Well, they are real, but you know what I mean, like multiple votes that aren't actually that many people. It's just one person. Or maybe it's a robot. So we would have to, I would be on the honor system. Like, we would have to be honor system. Is that even a system? Do people even do that anymore? I don't feel like people run on the honor system anymore. Why do I do that when I do the honor? Did I learn that in church? I feel like. I feel like some old memories from when I was a child just get. I'm like, honor. I swear. It's crazy the things that like you do repetitively, especially when you're a kid, come back so much better than things you repetitively do as an adult, unless you did them as a kid too. I feel like that's why it's really important that you pick, like you help your kid pick what they're gonna do for the rest of their life young. Right? Because it's hard to give up and move on to something. It's a lot more difficult to do it as an adult. But like if you, as a kid, learned an instrument and learned to be really good at something mentally and something physically and something artistically, then you have 3 pathways that you can go down that are going to be easier than all the other pathways because your parents like help set you up on doing that. I think every kid shows interest in an artistic, physical, and mental thing as they're growing up. It's just whether or not parents are paying attention to recognize it, and if they're open enough to be able to accept that that's the thing that the kids pick. And when you can't control whether Billy's going to be a doctor, or if he's going to be a scientist, or if he's going to design the tunnels for where our poop goes. Who knows? Who knows what Billy's going to be? I feel like growing up, I had like this weird sense of like I was able to choose whatever I wanted, but also like this underlying feeling of like that I was essentially supposed to choose nothing and just make a family. And I think the sad part for me is that's what I really wanted to do. But because I felt like so abandoned and shit, I just was like, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna go do a bunch of random stuff and see what happens. Do I think that was the best plan? No. But I think my mindset limited my choices, and I picked the best one at the time. Yeah. Okay. 1 minute for food. I'm so hungry. Food time, everybody. Food time. I'm gonna go put this stuff down. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to tell you about this book. You have no idea how stoked I am. I've been taking notes, and I'm ready to show off like what I've learned so far. I'm excited to read it, truthfully. I'm more excited to continue reading it. I've been having trouble deciding whether to read it or to stream. And I've had to, like, while reading it, I've had to, like, go back and, like, re-listen to parts and, like, reanalyze them and make sure I understood them. So the book is kind of intense. It talks about science and shit, which, I mean, if you read the quantum debate, the Einstein and Bohr's quantum debate on quantum physics or whatever, I think you'll already be prepared for the mindset that you need to be in for reading. He's like talking about lights and stuff like that. So, but I took notes, so we'll go through those as I'm eating. Okay. I'm so excited. The longest minute. Dude, a minute is a minute apart. No, I'm joking. Time's not real. Time is fake. Don't believe it, time. It's not real. It's not. It's just a measurement. That'd be like, I think that's like saying a foot is real. But a foot's not real. It's just a measurement of like something else. You know? Like what time measures is real? But time itself's not like the... Yeah. Anyways. It's a concept! An idea! Shake up dish. This situation here needs to be a little bit down. You gotta let it go, buddy. What's happening? Ah! Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay. I forgot my soda! That's what I was talking about, my caffeine addiction. That was so long ago. Anyway, so I was talking about like how I'm drinking a lot more caffeine, and like that how I don't feel like that's unusual, and I think a lot of people do that where they drink a lot more caffeine and less caffeine, a lot more caffeine, less caffeine. That we go like woo 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 with it, right? And so like I'm on the me part of like drinking caffeine and stuff, and so I'm realizing that I'm going up. I'm like, no, I want to level this out. I want it to be more average, normal, something I do, but not something that's regular. So I got some sodas, and I gotta like stop doing that. Truthfully, like I know there's nothing wrong in drinking soda, but like when you bring it home, like it just becomes a habit so quickly. It's so easy to make food and drink a habit and not to see them as like addictions, but I mean they are. So yay! Let us eat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spicy chicken with mashed avocado. Well, it's technically guacamole, but I don't put the tomatoes in it because I already pre-sliced them like this. I don't see a reason why to change it and then mash them in there, you know? Truthfully, the one reason why I don't understand people who don't use a lot of seasoning is because I feel like food is getting blander and blander. When I go and travel somewhere else and I eat like a mango or an avocado or a tomato somewhere else in another country, they have more flavor to me, and everything here in the US is like watered down. It kind of feels watered down. And there's some things that I try and I'm like, oh wow, that actually has flavor. Like this yakama actually is pretty good right now. But the tomato, a tomato literally feels like it's like fake. Like there's just water in it and that's it. And like no nutrients. Oh, and that's why I don't like the packaged meats. Where I prefer to make them, like buy a whole chicken, or buy a bunch of chicken legs or something, or I don't know, chicken breasts or something like that. Cut them up and then make it yourself. But that takes a lot of energy and effort to do that kind of stuff. And I'm just not to that point quite yet. I do it sometimes, just not. I haven't actually made a fried chicken in a long time. I haven't made it since I went vegan and was making like vegan fried chicken, which is like fried tofu essentially, with fried cauliflower or whatever. And sometimes I use other things, but mostly those two. And that's a lot more work and effort than fried up just normal chicken, because like it's gonna taste better if you don't take the time to add all the seasonings and the right amounts and all that shit. Mm-hmm. Honestly, yeah. We eat a lot of processed foods here. I really got like really big into like veganism for like 2-3 years. And I learned a lot. But the problem is that like you have to care a lot. And it doesn't help because our country is capitalism, so it's like it's more important for them to be making a profit. And so like it's like we're sitting here kind of being like, I want to eat better, but every time I try and it becomes popularized, capitalism gets a hold of it and then adjusts it, changes it, so like that way it's cheaper to be made, but it's like still the same. And then it's harder to find that product in its normal raw form that it should be in, and not the over processed form. Stuff like molasses, and apple cider vinegar have recently been like huge products that have been overseen. We saw it with shea butter a long time ago, which I think that's finally evened out. Maybe. I don't actually know, to be honest. I don't know. We saw it with coconut, like the coconut oil, like the jars of the, hard coconut oil. I mean, health has always been capitalism's, like, go-to catch-me-all, for whenever there's, like, this idea that maybe people aren't going to want to spend a lot of money. If people aren't wanting to spend a lot of money, the one thing they'll spend a lot of money on is their health, right? And so that's why I feel like the health industry has been so consistent. Like, even if it doesn't look consistent, like, the people retrieving the money from said situations are typically consistent. It's pretty impressive, honestly. I am good for them. As much as they don't care about us, but, like, I think some of the stuff was accident. Like lead paint and crap. I don't think they purposely meant poisoning people all the fucking time like that. But other things like the black market, for example, when it comes to drugs and shit like that, our government has full control over all that stuff. How could they not? I mean, they literally killed someone, bin Laden, supposedly randomly, like, out in the middle of some hill in the desert. Like, I don't know. I just think it would be unwise of them to not have control over it. You know? You would not be. And I just don't think they're that dumb. Do I think some of them are? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Not everyone could be that smart. But I think the majority of people in running have a bigger understanding of everything than any of us do. Are they doing it right? I guess we're about to find out, because we've been hitting some real teetering points. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they're half. It's like they follow the regulations up to, like, the bar. They're like, we don't do any more than this, and we're not really doing this. We're doing it like this. And then I get away with it. Or changing they're like, oh, well, if we're not allowed to use this chemical, we'll use this chemical that does the same thing, but is worse. Or we'll change the compound of the chemical. Now it's not the same chemical because we've changed it. It was pretty great. It's pretty great. Yeah. No. Super smart. Super smart. People are so smart. It's annoying. People are so good finding loopholes to get what they want, which is great. It's great. People should be able to do that. The second part of that should be a part of that, though, should be like I want to get what I want, but also, like, I want to get what I want and not hurt somebody, or maybe even not hurt somebody, but maybe it's just more like, and work with my community. You know, there needs to be some sort of, like, I want to get what I want, but also, like, I don't want to, like, step on everyone. Unless they're willing. That's fine, I guess. But to have that kind of consent would mean a lot of factors would need to be at play. A lot. Should we talk about this book? I'm really excited about this book. I'm really excited to share. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's why the whole thing in Gaza is so fucking fucked up. So I'm like, they're just starving and bombing innocent people to essentially just be able to do so that they can have the land, so that they can make the oil that's, like, sitting off the shore of that area. Ones that people are already making treaties and, like, stuff on, which is crazy. I'm on fire and people are still, like, underneath the rubble dying slowly, and you're like, we're already making plans to build homes here. We're already selling the land. We already have all the stuff. It's just fucking crazy. Anyways. Moving on. We don't have to talk about politics. I want to talk about the universe. Politics is such a minute thing, such a small understanding. Truthfully. Okay. So this book, which is like Stalking the Wild Pendulum, I believe. I actually like listened to like the whole intro and everything. I was kind of surprised myself. I don't normally do that, but I think I've been really interested in this book because I didn't know what it meant. Like, I don't know if you guys know what a pendulum is. I have two understandings of the pendulum. One, which is like a pagan Wicca form, which is like something on the base of, you know, a string or something that you have, and you use it as like a deviation tool to get answers, yes, no, to mark points on a map or on whatever. The other one that I have is a scientific term, which is where it's like a very specific back and forth motion of like a machine, right? Where it goes from one point to one point, and that if at any point it starts deviating or changes from that it will automatically sink back into that. Right? An example of that is like clocks, the grandfather clocks. When you have the grandfather clocks, if you start the like ticking at different points, eventually you'll come back and they'll all be ticking at the same time. Because they have a rhythmic that naturally sets in. Even when you try and fuck with it, it will go straight back to that. So I wasn't really sure what the book was supposed to be about because of that. Because it said Stalking the Wild Pendulum. There's two like different forms of ideas you can kind of come off with. I was assuming more the scientific form, but I was hoping for more of the like magical, pagan, Wicca kind of idea, because I wasn't sure if this was more a mental thought or if this was like a science thing, but it felt hard for me to see where the two would converge, but now I understand that that's exactly what this book is like something that converges the two. Which is really fucking cool, because like, okay, let me just read my notes. First things first, is that gaining knowledge makes you more ignorant because you have more questions, more information you receive, the more questions that you have, and that makes you more ignorant because you're more knowledgeable to the lack of information that you have that other people have. So you just become more and more ignorant the more information you learn. So that's great news for all of us. Especially people who are always growing and trying to grow. Essentially, like, the more you do that, the more ignorant you become. Yay! It is exactly the opposite of what you were trying to do, but now it just doesn't matter. And since you've healed far enough to this point to know that shouldn't matter, you can't turn back now, because then what would be the point? What would be the point? There's no reason. Like, you know what I mean? If you've healed enough to, like, understand that really deeply, like, you have to keep going now. Like, because, like, what is the other option? Like, I don't know. I think it's also funny because for me it feels like in this one sentence, like, I've already read some, he, like, foreshadows essentially, like, that you are not making your own choices. I love eating it up, literally. So, this is still the introduction to this book. And essentially, he's like talking about how there's some ideas that we all have to agree on in the book before we can move forward. Some of them is the fact that there are many realities. Scientifically, we've proven this. There's many modules and models that explain how things like clairvoyance, telepathy, and other laws can be real in other worlds, in other realities. And his point is to show that they are all one by proving that they can happen here in this reality with what we have. And then within this book, he's going to show us how that's possible and teach us how. So the first thing to agree on is like the theory of relativity. Essentially, what he says is that we need to know what consciousness is, or an experiment within the theory of reality will always be in doubt. If we can't because theory of relativity relies on consciousness. Like, that is the basis of the theory of relativity, is that your consciousness perceives something. So therefore consciousness must be real for that to work, right? And we all agree that consciousness is real because I'm here, I'm experiencing. And you're there, you're experiencing. And it says, the theory of relativity says that if I'm here, what I'm perceiving, I'm making up because I am perceiving it. Because consciousness is real. So the question is then, what is consciousness, right? Like, how are you going to prove that this is real? How do you prove that consciousness is real? And so to answer this question, a big thing he needs us to understand is about light and sound, how it behaves, and other natural sciences. And for 4 chapters, that's what we're going to be talking about. Another thing he needs us to agree on is reincarnation is fact. To believe that he believes that scientifically is proven fact. The first belief that he says is that with some meditation, anyone can find proof of this. He said, it was a lot longer than that, but what he's essentially saying is that you can tell, because if anyone does any type of meditation, they will find proof of their past lives. I don't disagree with him, but I don't feel like this is a scientific evidence. I think it was him being snarky. 2, or the second reason, was because energy cannot be lost or destroyed. And so, based on that fact, that what was I saying? Because energy can't be lost or destroyed, it's always placed somewhere else. And so he's like, that is scientific proof that we have reincarnation, because if this energy stops being here, can't be here, can't come back to here, then it must go somewhere else. Which means reincarnation is real. That's exactly what that's what science says. So those are the ideas we have to all agree upon to move forward. In chapter 1, the first thing he's talking about is holograms. And in the CSI paper, we already talked about a little bit about it explained what he said. Essentially, that paper took almost word verbatim from the book. The guy verbatim from the book pasted it on the CSI or the FBI or whatever governmental paper the declassified paper that I read. Bye, talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye. Okay. addiction. Anyway, so he's talking about holograms, and so if you read the paper, you read generally what he was talking about for the holograms. He goes into a little bit more detail, does a little bit more talking about it, but generally explains what holograms are based on, like, the pebbles in a pond and them, like, reflecting, and then if you could freeze that image or freeze that ice and you put, like, a laser through it, you could see that image in 3D, like, through the that's what the laser would place out. And so it's effectively saying that, like, light captures what it goes through, which means the light that's going through me is capturing me and then displacing that somewhere else, right? But it needs to be like a laser light. It can't just be like this for you to perceive it here in this reality, right? And also I think some of it's conjecture or theory, like if you could set up the perfect scenario it could do that, but I don't know how possible it is to actually do that. I think they have done it. I think it was really difficult to do. I haven't looked into it at all, so I don't know. It's something I have to look into. It's holograms more. I feel like I should write that down somewhere. Hold on. Look into hologram. Okay. Oops. Anyways, so the whole point of teaching and learning about the holograms was to basically tell us that that's how our brains collect information, is like in holograms form. So our eyes are kind of like lasers, where they look at an image and it's reflected back into our brain and we see it and we collect and save that image as like the whole 3D effect, right? And then there's like the real hologram, which is like a singular frequency, one color laser. Needs to move in a flat line. Weird. Anyways. If you have this one laser light going down at a wall, it will just be its circle. And if you cut that laser light in half and you bounce the second half laser off of a mirror onto a light, okay, hold on. I got a package, I got a package, I got a package, yeah, 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 yeah. I got a package, I got a package, I got a package, yeah, 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 yeah. Anyways, and then it's reflected onto like an image and then reflected back to the same point where the laser is on the wall, that the laser will talk to its other self and it will form the image on the wall. Instead of just the circle, or half circle and half the image, or whatever, like, it will form the whole image. So light talks to itself, which is pretty fucking cool. Because I didn't actually really understand that fully until I read that on there. talks about a bunch of other stuff, but one thing that I really caught from it was that we only exchange differences. That, like, when we're talking with each other, when we're communicating with one another, when we're learning about each other, we like to learn our differences. We like to know how we're different from other people, not how we like are the same, which is a very interesting thing, because if we enjoy learning the differences about each other, that makes racism this very interesting thing where, like, right, like, I already knew love was hate and hate is love, right? It's just really strong. And so it's like, is it telling? Am I finally coming to the conclusion that racism is when you love something, someone, well, I guess in this form, a race, right, of people, you love them so much that you hate them, or you idolize them so much that you can't show respect. Ooh, castor oil, cool. I forgot what I got this for my feet. Cool. Love that. Thank you. Anywho. So the next thing he kind of talked about was sound in our body, right? And how our bodies make sound, our heart makes sound. And that we kind of sound like a tuned instrument. It's called resonant tuning, and not everything has it, but apparently not everything. What was I saying? Not everything is resonant tuned, right? But it can be. Like, I don't think we are resonant tuned all the time, but we can make our bodies into resonant tuned instruments. And that only happens, like, there's, like, when your heart reverberates off of your pelvic bone and back up, by the time it's already coming up, your heart palpates again. And so it's creating, like, this sound vibration through your body. And when you relax your body and you're breathing to a point, you can get it to a point where your heart is beating so well that it doesn't vibrate off of your bone anymore, and it's just one tune. That is when you are at resonant tuning. And people normally do this in their sleep. But people also learn how to do it in meditation. So a big thing about sound and stuff is that with sound and lights, when you are exposed to them repetitively, like a clicking talk, or a ticking clock, or a air conditioner making sound, the humming, right? It's something we block out. If you're driving, your car's always making a sound eventually. If you, like, know you're going to fix it or whatever, you block it out and then once you fix it, you realize, you're like, oh wow, that was really this makes a huge difference. I was totally ignoring that before. We do that. We consciously block things out all the time. Our brain intakes information and it decides whether or not to do something with it or to not do something with it, to use brain power or to just allow it to fade away. And so when eventually, after some time of the same thing coming through over and over again, the brain's like, okay, clearly we don't need another, like, signal and to use energy to recognize this, so we're going to throw it out from now on. And when you get used to that, it just happens. So you can be traumatized by this, even after it stopped. When you hear it again, your brain might still, like, do that until after a while you have to retrain your brain to be like, no, this sound does need attention. You can't just let it go away, but you have to change that. So our brain processes like that, sounds and whatnot. Typically subtle ones. So now that you know that, he moves on to rhythm and trained, which is when, like oysters, for example, they're rhythm and trained by the moon, and they open and shut to like when the moon is coming over, and they will change, like according, like if you bring them from one side to another, change for a little while. They'll be doing it like as if they were back still at home, but eventually they'll be rhythm and trained to the moon coming over at a different time. And you can do it yourself. You can make them do it yourself, but typically they'll just do it by themselves. And apparently, this rhythm and trained is simply periodic repetition in nature, and everything is rhythm and trained. Everything here is rhythm and trained. And we have something that's called a vibrating reality. Nothing is static. Everything is moving. Like, if you can't see it moving, it's moving on the micro, macro level, like deep down inside your cells. Every atom is like vibrating and moving. So nothing is actually static, even when you believe it is. And then he ends this chapter talking about oscillators. And oscillators are a device that move in periodic, repetitive fashion between 2 points of rest. So a big one could be like batteries, like the energy between batteries, the positive and negative. And even when something changes in between these, just like a pendulum is an oscillator. If it gets out of vibration with the oscillator gets out of vibration, it will automatically go back into it because it's rhythm and trained. That's what raw oscillators are. They get locked back into like their scenario, no matter how many times or what happens or how big the vibration out of place is. And people are oscillators. We are vibrating between 2 points, and even when we get out of vibration, we'll naturally, rhythmically entrain, which means technically free will is not true, because we have a pattern that we follow, that we continuously follow, and that if we get out of order from, we'll go back into, because that's how it is. That's nature, that's science. I'm still processing that one. Hello, Dr. Molded. How art thou? Welcome and joining us. I'm talking about Stalking the Wild Pendulum right now. Just ended chapter 1, and I'm going to be reading chapter 2. I probably should have finished chapter 3 before I started doing this, so I could have done all 3 since it's Wednesday, but whatever. Whatever. Hope you're having a good day. Don't mind me just talking about oscillators and this great idea that I just happened upon in this book about us being oscillators. Flippin' oscillators. Which means, though, it's pretty cool. It makes me ask a lot of questions in my brain, but I don't want to ask them out loud. Thank you for following. I just noticed. This screen is small. Sorry. Okay. Shall we move on to chapter 2? I'm pretty sure there's a huge part of this chapter I did not write anything about, and it's because I was like processing a lot of it. I'm tempted to reread chapter 2 again, because I already did like circle back on it. There was just like a lot that I wasn't sure how to write it down. So I think you really definitely should read the book, at least the first 4 chapters, since they're just a lot about like facts and science and stuff like that, on how our universe works in general, so you can kind of get like an idea of like what you're working with, literally, being here on this plane of existence. So he starts the chapter out with talking about that everything is in an orderly moving 1,000,000 times a second. Sorry. Words don't want to come out properly. We can see this in human tissue when you magnify it. And the micro-reality is made up of empty spaces with oscillating fields that all talk to each other. So essentially, like from the micro, and then perceiving it in our world, right? It's empty space with oscillating fields talking to each other, right? And like you can look at it on our skin, where it's like all pooped together and stuff. But like when you remove yourself from the earth far enough away, that's what it looks like in areas that we live in, right? Like, so I thought that was kind of cool. It kind of creeps me out a little bit thinking about us looking like skin, but yeah, I don't want to be like the little hard spot, you know, like you're like touching your skin, it's like a little hard bump, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna scratch that out. I don't want to be that. Don't scratch me off, you know? How do I make sure I stay like the little smooth skin that you keep lotioning? That's what I want to know. Actually, add extra lotion over here. Like, I'm feeling a little dry. Anyways. And you can see that in this world because we're affected by sound, light, and magnets, music. Examples, stuff like the moon. People, it's like scientifically proven that like when people are like when the moon is full or when the moon is new, that people's emotions are completely different. I worked in a CNA, as a CNA in a nursing home, and yeah, full moons, new moons, it's huge. It's huge. I feel it in myself, truthfully. I'm hyped up what's happening. I was a new moon. That's why I'm having all this extra energy. I need to put it somewhere. And then just like, this is the part, he's like, gets into talking about like different types of fields, but I kind of lost him. Like, I understood what he was saying, and I get what he's saying, but I don't perceive how he perceives them as different fields. So I think that's the part that I need to re-look over again, right? So talked about like the ionosphere around like the Anyways, he talked about the ionosphere around the fucking Earth. It's like see-through, right? And it's highly charged, and it's highly charged with the Earth. So it's like going back and forth. That is the oscillator, right? And that creates a field. And then like your body is a field. and it is positively and that negatively. Wait, you are also isolating between the earth, but only when you're at the resonant state. That's what it is. Okay. And that, I fully understand even more. Okay, now, because now I have a way to be able to explain it to you, right? That's how I understand it. I understood it first within myself, and then as I kept reading and, like, connecting the dots, I now understand enough to share it with you. So what he's talking about, these different fields, right? Like, so in the micro world, he was talking about, you can see the different fields, like, on your skin and stuff, and you can see, like, you know, tinier and tinier and all the, like, the things, and we are just like that, right? Like, the field, the outer field of the earth is hitting with the ionosphere, right? And creating a bubble around it, essentially. And within that are tinier things, and one of those things being you. You are one of the tiny fields inside of this field, and your energy is also going with the earth, but only when it is at resonant state. And you can only get there when you are meditating. There were some other things he talked about, but I didn't write them down because I was like trying to understand. I thought he was going to talk more about it, but he didn't. So I'll have to go back and I'll have to listen to that again. But I'm pretty sure it was about, like, when you're sleeping and stuff like that. And so, like, I think it's just one of those things, like, he talked about how, like, when you're in that state, that energy is, like, can go through anything at all. Okay. And then we started in chapter 3, and I did not finish chapter 3, but I will start talking about chapter 3 in this book. Which is pretty great, because that means we're, like, 1.5 chapters done with all the necessary information before he shows us how magic is real in this universe, which, honestly, at this point, I feel like, of course it has to be real. Like, he's literally saying that if you can get into this state, that your energy can go through the earth and all the objects and light and everything. And so I'm just like, if you can do that, then, like, you should be able to do anything. How? I'm not really sure, but I understand that if that is possible, that anything should be impossible. Because if your energy can go through everything, then you should be able to create anything you want. Like, I should be able to create fire in my hand, I feel like. Like, that's how far that should go. Like, right, like, if I can resonant field my hand, I could, like, pull fire from somewhere else. I feel like, right? That's how that should work. Why wouldn't it work like that, right? You just have to understand how to do that. Okay. Okay. So then he talks about the nervous system. This is why I ended here, because it was just so much at this point. I went literally through the introduction in 2 chapters, and I started third, and I was like, hold up. Okay, so he starts talking about the nervous system, how it works. So, like, our nerves have these endings that send a series of irregular spikes to our brain, probably just to let it know that it's still working. And then when it's, like, touched, damaged, whatever, when it creates some kind of form, it sends, like, multiple tiny, fast, like, information to it. Morse code, it uses, that's what I now remember. Okay, so, but it's like Morse code, and so it's like your brain's reading it as Morse code, and from that, it creates in its mind what is supposed to be here. So, like, because I touch this and it's cool and it feels a certain way, my brain's like, oh, this is supposed to be wood, but it's not wood, because I can tell that it's kind of rubbery, like plasticky feeling. So I know it's fake, but I know it impersonates wood, and I can tell that it does a decent job because I can feel some of the rivets in it. And so, like, to me, it's gonna look realistic enough, right? And I get that input from the Morse code here, and then my brain creates it and shows it to me. Okay, that's what he's saying. Which is exactly that's like, right, this blew my mind. This is why I had to stop, because he was like, because it's an action and reset example, right? Our brains are action, reset, that's what that shows. And then he's like, and that is what a pendulum is. So it's like every small thing we do, every tiny thought process, everything that's set up is set up to be just like a pendulum. It's set up to be, it's like all of our choices have already been made. Everything that is gonna happen has already been chosen. Like, it's just scientific proof of that. Scientific proof of the fact that we are created and then we're set up to do, and it doesn't matter how much you push outside of it, you go back. Then why the fakeness? What is the need of believing free will? I guess that's why we cling to it so much. Control. To have control, because we don't have control. The desire to have something that you can't have, that you perceive you can't have, that you perceive you don't have. And you will find ways in which to prove yourself over and over again. And then you wonder, then is this? Because the thing is right, when I first got into this stuff, I never heard any of it, and then like, now it's like just been there this whole time, and there's all these people who have been talking about it. I'm like, and have they been talking about it? How is it possible that I haven't bumped into these people or haven't seen their stuff online? You know, like, why now? And it's because I'm looking for it, I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about it. How do we truly help one another? That's a question I would like to answer. Anyways, spaced out there for a second. Parker Woodley, what was the biggest scandal at your high school? Well, I went to 4 different high schools. Like, so, which one? Which year? My freshman year at one of the schools I went to, a lot of things happened. A lot of things. But I don't know if I'd call them all scandals. I think they were just shocking. I didn't get expelled. My parents moved. Why you blame me? I was a child. You can't blame children. Why are you getting expelled? Damn, you're harsh. Wow, you must have some huge expectations of the people around you. Oof, buddy. Made me cry. Yeah, I can tell. I fucking can tell. Like, you fucking said, damn. Why you keep it? Like, you were like, why'd you do this? Like, of course you have high expectations. I'm a complete stranger, and you had expectations of me and believed I just fucking... What? You're like, only allowed to go to one school. Oh, shit. Killing me over here. Damn. It's funny as hell. You just missed out though. I don't know if you've been here this whole time. You know what? I would almost believe that. I would almost believe that. I would. Except for I was never allowed to leave the house, and since I was such a good kid, I actually didn't start sneaking out of the house until I was 18. When I believed it was my right to leave whenever I wanted. Well, actually, I guess I did a little bit before when I was 17, but they owed me. I was a good child for 3 years out of high school before I realized everyone else wasn't listening to their parents either. And I was like, wait. I've been holding this down. Staying in every night, not having any friends, or knowing what's happening, or hearing about all the parties, hearing about all the shit people are doing, having fun, all the weekend trips. You know, when you're a suck up, you get blamed and you don't have fun. So you may as well just have the fun. Don't be a suck up. Just have the fun. Don't be a suck up. Because they're gonna blame you anyways. Somebody always blames you anyways, you know? Strangers do it all the time. Not that you would know anything about that. What do I know about MK Ultra? Not a lot. You want to share? Is it something I should know? I feel like I've heard it a bunch before. I know a lot about that, but I didn't know they called it MK Ultra. What do you want to know? Or what do you know? Because there's a lot. There's a lot to this world that I'm still learning about. Mostly relearning about, right? Because, like, I believed a lot of the things that, like, my school told me when learning growing up. That definitely weren't true.
biggest lie I can't get over is the fact that tooth fairies aren't real. I feel like out of all of the things, that was the best well-hidden one. Just how parents be sneaking into their kids' room and them not be waking up. Kids don't get it. They're like, what the fuck? And as an adult, I understand even less because people wake up so easily as adults. So does that mean, like, as we're getting older, we're getting less capable of sleeping? And is it because we did stuff like because we learned stuff like that about, like, our parents, like, sneaking in? You're like, wait, I never woke up. Like, how did you do that? Maybe our parents, maybe we all become CIA mind controlled slowly over time, and then we're all secret agents, you know? It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to mind control people. Truthfully. The question about it is how does that affect you when you do that to people? Because it doesn't matter what you do, everything you do has an effect on you. Whether you perceive it good or bad, whether it's actually good or bad, it just does not matter. It has an effect, right? That's just how it works. And so it makes me wonder, like, what happens to the people who try to mind control other people? And are we mind controlling each other? Like, I feel like we're policing each other. Like, I feel like a part of it is that we have all these, like, ideas of what is and is not okay. And, like, we're like, we'll stay within those rights. And then if we see anyone getting outside of that, we're going to attack them. Cancel culture has really been getting, like, down and dirty with that shit. Like, I really love watching people coming out of cancel culture. I don't disagree in canceling people because, like, people, like, stuff like McDonald's and Starbucks and other large corporations like that need to get their shit together because it's fucking stupid that they can make normal ass food in other countries but they can't do that shit here, and that they charge more for, like, worse food here. And I'm just like, you know what? No. Not with a 15% fucking a $15 wage. No. You gotta do something right, and they don't want to do anything right. So I'm just like, well, buddy. Like, you gotta do something. And so, like, you know, I agree that, like, society should be able to stand up and be like, hey, bro, we're canceling you because you keep not putting our best interest in hand, and we keep putting your best interest at hand, and we're not seeing the feedback from that. No tasty food, no good employment, no nothing. So guess what, bitch? You out. Like, that's how it should be. If you can't provide us something, why should we give you all of our fucking money? Like, that you know? Because, like, essentially you're giving them your time. You're paying with your time. And your time is the most valuable resource in the whole entire world. Because it's fucking fake, first off. But, so is money. But, because we perceive it to be so. Majoritively. Because we all agree upon it. That is why. I think it's crazy some of the stuff we agree upon. Like some of the social norms we agree upon. I don't know how to bring them about in my family, though. Like, I don't know how to communicate with my family about how I disagree so much with, like, the social norms and why I disagree, because I think if they heard me, they'd understand. But explaining that to somebody is a lot deeper than I think most people have thought about it, and I don't think people want to think about it, which makes it difficult because, like, they're not going to listen to you unless they want to think about it. So you'll never know when that time comes. When do you want to think about it? And will I catch you on that time? Will you listen to me? I hope so. Womp womp. What to do. I guess I should probably continue reading this book, and yeah, because I need to finish chapter 3 so I can talk about it, and finish chapter 4. So I'm going to talk about those probably tomorrow. I'm getting on tomorrow. I'm not going to do this thing where I'm getting on tomorrow. I don't know when tomorrow,
I'm getting on tomorrow, probably later, because I have an interview in the afternoon. So, yeah. Okay. I love you. Bye.